What's up, everybody? This is Tech G back with another video. And in this video, I'm going to be explaining to you exactly what a network router is in case you have no idea how this thing works. So let's get into it. If you ever wondered how your phone magically connects to the internet, how you're able to stream Netflix, game online, or even send a simple email, then you've been living in the world of network routers. These little devices may not look flashy, but they're absolutely essential to how modern life works. So in this video, we're going to unpack the concept of a network router in a way that's easy to understand, even if you've never touched a networking cable in your life. Whether you're an IT newbie or someone studying for a CompTIA certification, or you're just tech curious, then you're in the right place. So with that being said, let's go. All right, so let's start with a metaphor. Imagine your home is a part of a gated community. This community has hundreds of homes, and these homes are your devices like your phones, laptops, smart TVs, etc. And outside the community is the big wide world, also known as the internet. Now picture a security checkpoint at the front gate. This checkpoint decides who gets to enter, who gets to leave, which route they take, and how fast they can go. Well, that security checkpoint, that is your router. So a network router, this is a device that connects your local network, like your home or your office network, to other networks, typically the internet. It routes data between these networks, making sure the right information gets to the right place. So exactly what does a router actually do? Well, here's a breakdown. So the first thing it does is routes traffic. So the router receives data packets from the internet, like a web page or a video, and sends them to the correct device on your network. Likewise, when your phone wants to go to YouTube, the router makes sure the request goes out to the right place. Another thing it does is it assigns local IP addresses. So routers use a protocol called DHCP, or a dynamic host configuration protocol, to assign local IP addresses to devices. And your laptop might be assigned 192.168.1.5, while your Xbox might get 192.168.1.10. Another thing a router can do is act as a firewall. So routers that can help block unwanted incoming traffic. So that shady hacker that's trying to get into your smart fridge or your router, it can stop them if configured properly. A router also provides wireless access. So most routers today are wireless routers, which mean they have built-in Wi-Fi access points that allow you to connect to the network without cables. And it can also perform what is called NAT, or network address translation. And this is one of the router's secret weapons. So NAT, this basically allows multiple devices in your home to share one public IP address while still being uniquely identified on the local network. All right, so let's talk about routers versus modems versus switches versus access points. Now, people often get confused by these terms, so let me go ahead and untangle all this. So a modem, this connects your home to your ISP, or your internet service provider, and it translates digital signals to analog signals and vice versa. A router, this routes data between your local network and other networks. A switch, this connects devices within a local network via Ethernet. And an access point, this extends the wireless coverage of a network. Now, sometimes routers, they come with built-in modems or switches or wireless access points. And that's why a single router that you get from your internet company can do so many things. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about exactly how does routing work. So let's say you're at home chilling and you want to go to the world's greatest website called technologyg.com. So you punch that address into your browser on your laptop. So here's what happens. First thing is a request is sent. So your laptop sends a packet of data to the router saying, hey, I want to visit that website. Next, the router figures it out. Basically, the router looks at the destination and sees that it's not in your local network. And then it says, okay, I need to forward this to the internet. After that, the packet travels the internet. So the packet travels through your modem, to your ISP, and across many routers and networks until it reaches the Technology website server. And then a response is sent back. So the website sends data back, your router receives it and delivers it only to the laptop and not your smart TV or your phone. And all of this happens in milliseconds. So basically, in a nutshell, that is an extremely simplified version of how routing works. All right, next let's talk about the types of routers that are out there. So there isn't just one type of router out there. There are a few types that you need to know about. The first is called a home router, and this is what you have in your house right now. So these are consumer grade routers that are found in homes and small offices. And they usually include Wi-Fi, DHCP, NAT, and some firewall capabilities. You have what is called an enterprise router, and this is used in large networks like universities or corporations, and they handle much more traffic and offer advanced features like VPN routing, VLANs, and policy-based routing. You also have what is called a core router, and these exist at the backbone of the internet, and they're used by ISPs and data centers to move data between major networks. And then you have what is called an edge router. So edge routers, they sit at the boundary of one network and another, like your home and your ISP, and basically they handle traffic going in and out of these networks. All right, next let's talk about how do you access and configure a router. So if you want to tweak your router settings, here's what you do. First thing you need to do is connect to the router. You do that by opening up a browser, and then you type in the router's IP, and it might be 192.168.0.1 or 192.168.1.1. And after you do all of that, you want to log in using the default username and password, and it might be something like admin or admin password. And if that is your login credentials, you want to immediately change that because that information is readily available online for hackers to access your network and start doing all types of crazy stuff on your network. And once you get inside of the router, here's some basic settings that you can change. So you can change the Wi-Fi name, which is also known as the SSID or the service set identifier. You can change your Wi-Fi password. You can set up a guest network. You can enable parental controls. You can do port forwarding rules. You can set up firewall settings, and you can do firmware updates. And some advanced settings that you can do, you got static IP address assignments, MAC address filtering, quality of service rules in case you like gaming or streaming, and you can do some VPN configurations as well. Now let's quickly talk about some security features that you should use. So your router, this is the first line of defense between your home and the wild internet. So here's how you can lock it down. So like I said earlier, you want to change the default admin username and password. You want to use WPA3 encryption or at least WPA2 encryption for Wi-Fi. You want to disable WPS or Wi-Fi protected setup because that is easily exploited. You want to keep your firmware updated. You want to turn off remote management unless you really need it. And you want to set up a guest network for visitors who are coming to your house to use your internet. And here are some common router issues and fixes because routers are not perfect. So you might be experiencing slow Wi-Fi. And if that's the case, you want to reboot the router, or you can change the channel, especially if your neighbors are on the same channel, or you can upgrade to a dual band or tri-band router. You might also experience random disconnects. And if that's the case, you want to update the firmware. You want to check to make sure that your router isn't overheating. And you also want to consider replacing aging hardware. Now, if you cannot connect to the router, then you want to use an Ethernet cable for direct access. And you want to reset the router using the physical reset button. And then there are these things called dead zones. So you want to use Wi-Fi extenders or mesh routers to help improve your Wi-Fi coverage. And here are some router placement tips. So when you're at your house, here's where you should consider placing your router. You want to place it centrally in your home. You want to keep it off the floor. You want to avoid placing it next to microwaves or thick walls. You want to try to elevate it on a bookshelf or a cabinet. And you want the antennas on that thing going vertically, not horizontally. All right, next let's talk about IP version 4 and IP version 6 and which of these does your router actually use. So you've probably seen IP addresses that look like this. You got 192.168.1.1. Of course, that's IP version 4. But as we run out of IP version 4 addresses, we are now shifting to IP version 6, which looks like this long number in red right here. And modern routers, they support both. So if you got a modern router in your house, it can support both. And this is called dual stack, where it can deal with IP version 4 and IP version 6. And guess what? You don't have to worry about configuring any of that. It just does it automatically. All right, next let's talk about NAT, firewall, and port forwarding. So we're going to go one level deeper, but I'm going to try to keep this extremely simple. So once again, NAT, this stands for Network Address Translation, and this translates your device's private IPs to a single public IP, allowing the internet to think it's talking to one device, i.e. your router, instead of many devices. You have what is called a firewall. And this is a software or hardware-based system that is in your router that blocks bad traffic and keeps your network safe. And then you have this thing called port forwarding. So if you want to host a game server or access your security camera remotely, you're going to need to set up port forwarding to allow external access to a specific internal device. All right, next let's talk about smart routers and mesh systems. So modern routers, they have gotten smarter. A smart router, it has mobile apps for easy control. It has built-in parental controls, and it does this thing called band steering, where it can automatically switch between 2.4 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz. And then we have what is called a mesh Wi-Fi system. And this is perfect for large homes because mesh routers, they use satellite nodes to blanket your space with seamless Wi-Fi. So that way you can minimize on having dead zones or not being able to access the Wi-Fi internet at all. And some popular options for mesh Wi-Fi systems include Google Nest Wi-Fi and Amazon Echo. All right, so let's quickly talk about routers in business and enterprise environments. So, routers in enterprise settings are like routers on steroids. Basically, they offer what is called redundancy or failover support. They support advanced routing protocols like OSPF and BGP. They use VPN tunnels for secure remote access. They have VLAN support for network segmentation, and they offer load balancing. And brands like Cisco, Juniper, Fortinet, and Ubiquiti, they dominate the business router market. And for those of you out there learning IT, remember nothing beats hands-on practice. So if you want to get some experience with a router, go out there and find you a cheap router that you can use at home. Go ahead and reset it, explore the admin panel, try setting up various settings like DHCP reservations, port forwarding for a local web server, try to set up a guest network, and try to set up a static IP for one device because this practical experience is gold for IT certifications and future job readiness. All right. So, why do routers even matter for your tech career? So, if you're going into tech, especially networking, cybersecurity, or IT support, then understanding routers is non negotiable because routers, they are foundational to network troubleshooting, designing infrastructure, cybersecurity configurations, setting up secure remote access, supporting remote workforces, and cloud and hybrid environments. And they're often one of the first devices that you're going to have to deal with in entry level IT jobs. So let me go ahead and wrap all this up. A network router, this is the traffic cop of the digital highway. It makes sure every bit and byte of data finds its correct destination, whether you're binge watching a show, on a Zoom call, or you're playing games online. And while it might sit quietly in the corner of your home, blinking away like it's doing nothing, it is one of the hardest working devices that you own.